Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of r/AITA. In today's episode, Woodta for spraying some kid with my garden hose daily after he walks all over our lawn. AITA for taking my BIL to small claims court over art supplies. AITA for sending my brother a list of every item of ours that my nephew ruined. Before we get started, make sure to subscribe so you will never miss a video. So let's get started. Woodta for spraying some kid with my garden hose daily after he walks all over our lawn. I, 37M, live with my wife, 37F, and son and daughter, 9 and 11 respectively. Recently, there has been this kid who comes by our house after playing soccer and either rides his bike or walks over the lawn with his cleats on his way home. It started out as me giving him stern looks whenever I saw him, then it slowly progressed to me asking him to just go around. The last time I asked him to stop, he made a point to stomp extra hard and twist his feet into the grass to piss me off. Since then, I've just been hosing him. The first time I sprayed him with the hose, he ran off, but then for some reason he just started standing there while I hose him like he enjoys it. It's now progressed to me sitting on my lawn chair pointing my hose at him, and him just staring at me while he does so. Sometimes we even make small talk. MNGL, it started off as a really bitter relationship, but I've actually gotten to know the kid quite well. We talk for maybe 15 to 20 minutes every day, and he doesn't seem to mind being hosed down after sweating hard playing soccer. He comes by daily and we just shoot the shit while I hose him, and he stands there for a bit. Wife told me I need to stop. Even after I explained it to her, she said I'm making us look like childish idiots. I guess I could stop, but honestly it's really funny waiting for him to come by, and I see no harm in it. Woodta? Okay, this is hilarious. I was going to say you were the asshole and get offense, but I see nothing wrong with what's going on now. Nah. I agree, OP should continue this to see if their life turns any more into a Wes Anderson movie. I've never understood why Americans don't seem to have fences. They're basically the norm here, UK. If I see a stretch of open grass, I'd assume it's public ground. I mean, the kid sounds like kind of an AH. But I guess an AH, haha. Kid is obviously deprived of attention and is weirdly getting something bizarrely meaningful from this incredibly strange relationship, haha. Has he stopped trying to damage your lawn? He still steps on the lawn, but not as recklessly as he did when we first met, lol. He also parks his bike when he rides it on the sidewalk, but I'm not sure if he's doing that to be nice or because he doesn't want his bike getting wet. Get another chair, ask the kid to come sit with you. That kid rather gets hosed down by a stranger than go home. Something's up. Yeah, it sounds like the kid doesn't have anyone at home who notices/cares that he is coming home soaked. OP might be the only adult that is paying attention to what that child is doing or where he goes. Have a drink and snack ready for him, OP. There was a tween like this in my neighborhood. He'd be out wandering around all day. One day he was playing at my house with my child and I prepared him a snack of fruit. When I gave it to him, he threw his arms around me and hugged me. I almost cried. He moved away and I still wonder how he's doing. NTA. He stopped stomping on your lawn but is still seeking you out as someone who will genuinely listen to him whilst you cool him off after training. The kid is showing his gratitude and you're feeding that gratitude. It's a sweet relationship and your wife should stop worrying about what everyone else is thinking and see it for what it is. NAH. Still a better love story than Twilight. That's not too hard to top. But does the kid sparkle in the sun? OP needs to let us know. It has been a long bliss of not seeing this reference for many moons. And I guess only now it is that I realize how much I didn't miss acknowledging the existence of Twilight. At the last place I rented, we had a huge issue with stray/free roaming cats, in particular this huge Ginger Tom. He used to sit on the footpath at all hours and howl, setting off every nearby cat and dog. I started spraying him with the garden hose to make him leave, but the thing seemed to like it. I swear he even started coming by more often just to get a hosing. Opie, are you sure this is a kid, and not a large ginger cat? You've reminded me of the time my mom decided to hoover the cat when he refused to get out of the way. He liked it so much he rolled over to get his underside done too. What a wholesome, intergenerational friendship. I genuinely love this. NTA. NTA, and this is actually kind of sweet. When I was in my teens, I used to visit a small Greasy Spoon diner, where my friend was a waitress. This old guy, late 70s, came in every day at the same time and sat in the same booth. He would order one of 3 meals. One time I sat in his booth doing some homework and drinking a ton of coffee refills. The man came in and told me not ask that I needed to move. I did. It happened again a couple of weeks later. He called me a little bastard for sitting his booth. A couple of days later, I did it again on purpose. He called me a little bastard and told me to move. I moved my books. The man grumbled and sat down. Over the course of about 2 months, this scenario got repeated. Somewhere along the line, I asked him about a ring he wore. The stories started to come out. I learned he and his late wife came to that restaurant for over 20 years to have dinner. I was sitting in her place. However, I kept asking questions, and he kept relaying his stories. This man led an amazing life, and I listened to any tale he wanted to share. This went on for 2 years. When he died at the age of 81, I went to his memorial. I met his children and grandchildren. When they asked how I knew him, I told them my tale. His children laughed because he called everyone a little bastard, male and female alike. Then I began to recount some of the stories he told me. His children verified some, but then they heard stories he never told them. I ended up meeting with his children several times to tell them everything he told me. Mr. Banke, I am not a believer, like I told you many times, but I still think of you and your incredible life. You are not forgotten. NTA. But you might consider trying to switch to offering him a cold drink, Gatorade or soda, and a chair if you want to deepen the friendship and chat. It sounds like he enjoys the attention and isn't in any rush. Either way, NTA, your current relationship seems like it's fun for both of you. Hose him first, then toss him a Gatorade. Then call him sport. AITA for taking my BIL to small claims court over art supplies? A bit of context, I, 29M, like to draw and try other mediums as well. As such, I've accumulated a lot of art supplies over the past few years. My wife, Sally 27F, also dabbles a bit, and we have converted one of the rooms in our home to an art studio of sorts. There's easily a few $1,000s worth of art supplies in that room, and we tend to keep it locked for that reason. Most important to me are my pencils and markers, which were not cheap, chart pack for those who care. On to the story. Sally and I had her family over for her aunt's birthday a few weeks back, and my BAL and SAL brought their kids with them, 7F and 6M. We had forgotten to lock the door to the room that day. About an hour into the party, I noticed that both kids were nowhere to be seen, so I asked my SAL if she knew where they were. She said that they were drawing in the other room. I asked if my wife was with them, and she said she just told them which room it was in. I immediately rushed over to the art room and found it was a total mess. Most devastatingly was the fact that all my markers were ruined because that kids were using way too much force casing the tips to fray. I yelled at them to get out, and they started crying. My BAL ran over and started yelling at me, saying they're just kids and it's just markers. I told him that the markers alone were $17 a piece, and he said I was stupid for paying that much. Sally tried to defuse the situation, but my BAL started yelling at her too, saying we can't have this much art supplies and not expect kids wanting to use it. I told him he's paying to replace the markers and other supplies they ruined, and left. Everyone left shortly after that. I totaled up the damages, and I needed to replace about $375, and found that the kids drew on a piece I had spent the past week working on, as well as ruining a finished piece Sally did. I sent him a bill and he blocked me. So I talked with my friend who was lawyer and had him draft a claim for small claims court and a letter to send my BIL. I paid him for this OFC. My wife is in agreement about this, but her family has been mobbing us, telling us we're being ridiculous over some markers. Only my FIL, who also has taken up painting recently, and my other SAL say that BIL has to pay. AITA? NTA. Parents need to watch their own kids. How entitled is it to just send them to a room in someone else's house and tell them to go wild with whatever is there without even asking? I don't get all the YTA and ESH saying you should have locked the door. How about the parents watch the children and make sure they stay with them? Though in this case that wouldn't have helped because they felt their kids were entitled to your stuff. The way they wrecked 2 pieces of actual art is the worst part of all. Info: what is Sally's position on this since it is her family? Was she supportive to going nuclear with the small claims? NTA: considering BIL didn't offer an apology or paying anything for the damages and just further insulting you, I don't see a problem going after him. Parents are responsible for their kids' actions, IMO. You know they won't pay anything otherwise. I am not sure if the never-ending drama this will cause for the rest of your lives is worth it though. Yep, BIL could have apologized or at least paid half. But what did OP get? Not a thing. Not even a dime. That's cold as hell, NGL. Once BIL tried to shame OP for what he spent on markers, that's it for me. You don't get to tell other people what they can spend their earned money on. F right off with that. I'll go with NTA. Based on your SAL's comment, she said that they were drawing in the other room. I asked if my wife was with them and she said she just told them which room it was in. SAL ought to have known that you don't give your kids permission to do something like that without asking. The small claims thing is likely to burn all bridges with that part of the family, though. Clearly NTA. I understand yelling at the kids, since you were startled yourself when you saw your AITA supplies being destroyed, and it is a person's first reaction. It's also the fastest way to make a kid stop what they are doing. As for the claims, go for it. Art supplies are expensive, and your BIL is responsible for his kid's actions. If he doesn't want to compensate you voluntarily, use dispute resolution means. Apparently not so clearly. Can't believe all the why responses I'm seeing here. I need to start trashing my family's stuff more often since it's apparently just supposed to be forgiven with no cost. NTA. If it's just markers, then they shouldn't have a problem paying. It's just money. NTA. Everyone was over for a few hours for a dinner party. No adults got permission for their kids to play in a private place. No adults supervised. And this is not those kids' home. They do not live there. Why on earth did the parents assume the kids were okay to play unsupervised with adult art supplies and adult artwork in a room with a closed door? Art supplies are expensive and a lot of adult art supplies are extremely toxic. For those saying it's no big deal, imagine if the kids were in your bathroom playing with and destroying $400 of makeup. Just absolutely destroying a collection of MAC bullet lipsticks and dropped and destroyed your favorite designer perfume. Still no big deal? Okay. Imagine if the kids went out back to play in the shed with your carpentry tools and destroyed a project with a handsaw and 5 totally different wood stains. Still okay? You're a gamer with a private gaming room with a vintage GameCube collection and the kids left out, stepped on, and broke an old game disc valued at $375 while playing unsupervised and without permission in a private room no hosts expected people to be in. All good here? I do not understand those of you voting YTA. I expect guests, especially short-term dinner party guests, who bring kids to my home to utilize my home respectfully, which includes not raiding my things without permission. NTA. You don't open closed doors in other people's houses without permission. Since you forgot to lock it, it's safe to assume that the door was at least closed. The SIL should have supervised her children at the very least to make sure they didn't make a huge mess with the art supplies. Unless they'd been allowed in the room before unsupervised, there's no reason that they would have been allowed in there by themselves. RN. They should have paid you back without having to take them to small claims, because they were the ones who messed up by not watching their small children. Even if the doors are open, unless they've explicitly stated that you can enter, who thinks it's okay to waltz into other people's rooms as they wish? NTA. How crazy irresponsible for a SAL to let her kids just go into the room, let alone any of your rooms outside of the living room and such. Go to small claims court and get the money back, and never leave that room unlocked again. Art supplies aren't always safe for little kids to play with unattended. Sure, they used the markers, but my aunt had glue and shears and toxic paint in her workshop. SAL should definitely have checked in about what was okay to use and accompanied her kids. NTA. I own expensive art supplies, and yet I can leave them lying around as my niece and nephews were taught not to touch things that don't belong to them. You shouldn't have to lock a door in your own home. Your IL should parent their children correctly. I mean, apparently their parents weren't even taught not to touch things that don't belong to them. Their mom gave them permission to use the things in that room. They have no reason to think it's not okay if their own parents say it is. These adults are entitled monsters. Hopefully their kids will learn better from someone else. AITA for sending my brother a list of every item of ours that my nephew ruined? For the context, I, 25F, have a niece, Bella, 7F, and a nephew, Michael, 10M. They're my brother Alex's kids. I love them both, but I have a much closer relationship with Bella. Michael is a good kid, but he is a ticking time bomb. He is absolutely uncontrollable. I'm his aunt and I love him, but I really can't have him around for long. The last time he was in our house, he poured my nail polish collection onto my wife's favorite silk Persian carpet. And that isn't even 1% of the damage he has done. My wife, 27F, and I recently bought a villa out of town. It has a game room, pool, and many things Bella adores. So we offered to give her a tour of the place and let her check out the rose garden there, if Alex and his wife agreed. Alex said either both Michael and Bella were to be included or none of them were going. My wife and I both insisted to only take Bella, but he was not having it, so we said we would just go by ourselves. Alex got really mad at us and said it was disgusting that we favored Bella because she was a girl and that we were both hypocritical and unfair to Michael, and never included him in our plans. I told my brother that Michael was an uncontrollable kid. He had the audacity to ask what Michael had done. I told him I'd let him know. I've told him the items over the years as it happened, but he always said it was an accident and that Michael's a boy and boys play rough. I made a table including every item my nephew damages in our house and the estimated cost. It included a few of my wife's antique vases, her glass statue of the Eiffel Tower, carpet, several of my wife's crystal decorative items and 2 phones. He flushed them down the toilet. Even the mirror of my car. I sent the list to Alex. He is now extremely angry with me, and thinks I am being an arrogant person, and taking after my wife's trait of being an uptight rich kid. I am not talking to him at the moment. Was what I did territory? NTA. He asked, not your fault. He doesn't like the answer. I grew up with 5 brothers. Michael has broken more stuff than we all did combined. This and Michael's behavior is not normal kid behavior. My son is 8. I don't know any kid his age, boy or girl, that would purposely flush phones down toilets, dump nail polish on a carpet, etc. No way. What you did was territory. I thought maybe you'd kept a list of everything he'd broken next to your heart to bring out at all times. He opted to play dumb, so you were 100% right to bring up every situation you could remember at that point. NTA. While I understand your brother's point about both kids or none, and I generally tend to agree in most cases, this is not the same. So long as you're not leaving out any damages your niece has done, this clearly isn't about a gender preference. This is more of an actions have consequences situation. While it might feel unfair to Michael, this is the opportunity for his parents to teach him to behave better in other people's homes. I also don't think it would be fair for the niece to be denied things due to her brother's behavior. Also, people need to be more realistic in life. Don't ask a question you don't truly want the answer to / can't handle the answer to. As well, you can love your kids and still understand where they may have faults. Instead of ignoring there's a problem, work to fix it. NTA. Alex, what did he even do? OP, here's a list. Alex, how dare you show me a list of all your fancy stuff? Show off. Having nice things doesn't give someone else the right to take or destroy those things. Being male isn't an excuse for being destructive, rowdy, rude, etc. If anything, he's implying he doesn't think much of his son if he thinks boys aren't capable of appropriate behavior and that everyone should just accept him as he is. Completely agree. Her brother comes across as boys break shit. Deal with it. Seems like the easiest solution would be to say, Michael can come, but you need to come too, then, and be responsible for making sure nothing gets broken. And have a credit card on file. No way these irresponsible parents would be accountable when their golden boy breaks another antique vase. Require him to be on a leash. Not joking. NTA. He literally asked what his kid had done, you answered. I wouldn't let that kid near my stuff either. I'm sorry, I think something is very wrong with a 10-year-old acting like this. I'm a mom and a grandma of lively, curious kids, and they never were destructive like this. That kid is screaming for some kind of help or attention. NTA. NTA. He asked. He found out. If you made it to the end of the video, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe and share, and we will see you in the next video.